Hi there, movie lovers. If Moana has been on your mind, you've come to the right place. Released on November 23, 2016, this film is packed with surprises, and today, we're going to break it all down for you. From unforgettable music to a powerful story of self-discovery, there's so much to love about this Disney classic. If you're excited to explore more, be sure to like this video. It's a small click that means the world to us. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on any of our deep dives into your favorite movies. Let's get started. On the 23rd of November, 2016. Disney unveiled a cinematic masterpiece that would forever change the way we think about adventure and heroism. Moana, an animated film directed by Clements and Musker, arrived in theaters with a burst of color, music, and heart, capturing the attention of audiences worldwide. It wasn't just another Disney princess story. It was a celebration of culture, self-discovery, and the bold spirit of exploration that echoed across the vast Pacific Ocean. The film, like the ocean it so beautifully depicts, flowed effortlessly between ancient legends and contemporary sensibilities, merging past and present in a way few animated features have achieved. If there was ever a time to be swept away by the power of storytelling, Moana was that moment. At first glance, the film might seem like a familiar Disney tale, starring a courageous young girl, brimming with untapped potential. Yet, what sets Moana apart from other Disney classics isn't just its vibrant animation or its infectious soundtrack. Although both are exceptional, it's the way the film so deeply honors the real-world cultures that inspired it. With its careful attention to the mythology, traditions, and values of the Polynesian islands, Moana broke new ground in representing an indigenous culture rarely seen on the big screen. It's a rare, respectful, and breathtaking portrayal of a people's rich history, celebrated through an engaging, modern adventure. But more than anything, it's a thrilling ride that draws you into the heart of an epic story, where a young girl's journey not only shapes her destiny but also challenges the world itself. The opening moments of the film draw you into this mystical world, where the rhythm of the ocean pulses with life and promise. We begin with the sounds of the sea, soft whispers of a breeze that soon turn into waves crashing against the shores of the island of Motunui. The island, alive with its own history, is the home of Moana Waialaiki, a spirited girl who's as inextricably linked to the ocean as the stars in the sky. From the start, we are introduced to the stunning beauty of this paradise. Lush jungles, sparkling blue seas, and a warm, welcoming community. Yet even in this paradise, there's something stirring beneath the surface, a call to adventure that Moana cannot ignore. Moana, despite being the daughter of the island's chief, is not content to simply stay on shore, bound by tradition and expectations. She's a child of the sea, a dreamer whose heart beats to the rhythm of the waves. Her parents, especially her father, Chief Tui, are deeply protective, bound by a belief that the ocean is dangerous and should be avoided. They want her to embrace her future as a leader of the village, but Moana's heart yearns for something beyond the horizon, for a deeper understanding of who she is and what she's meant to do. Her father's steadfast warnings about the dangers of venturing beyond the reef create an unspoken tension between them, and it becomes clear that Moana's journey will not be an easy one. But as much as she is pulled by the sea, her path is clouded by the weight of responsibility. The island of Motunui, her family's home, is beginning to experience a strange and alarming shift. The crops are failing, fish are scarce, and the once prosperous village is slowly fading. It's a subtle but pressing crisis, one that threatens the way of life Moana has known. As she watches the island's struggle, a quiet whisper of destiny stirs within her. Something needs to be done. But what? What could a girl, barely out of childhood, possibly do to save her people? The answer, it turns out, lies in a legend. Her grandmother, Tala, tells Moana stories of the past, tales of the ancient voyagers who sailed across the seas, their ships guided by the stars and their hearts full of courage. The voyaging people, it is said, traveled far and wide, their knowledge and mastery of the ocean's currents vast and profound. But something happened, something that forever changed the course of history. The great demigod Maui, full of pride and power, stole the heart of Te Whaiti, a mystical artifact that kept balance in the world. In his arrogance, he caused the ocean to grow turbulent and treacherous, causing the voyagers to cease their travels and retreat behind the safety of the reef. This act of betrayal by Maui left the world in a state of imbalance, and now, centuries later, the island of Motunui is feeling the effects. The ocean, once a source of life and adventure, has become a distant memory. But Tala, with her wise and gentle heart, believes that Moana is the key to restoring balance. She knows that the heart must be returned to its rightful place, and that Moana, brave and pure of spirit, must journey beyond the reef to find Maui and bring the heart of Te Whaiti back. With her grandmother's encouragement, Moana sets off on a journey of self-discovery, ready to confront the world she's always feared. But the adventure is not as simple as she imagines. For one, she has to convince Maui, a powerful trickster with a big ego, to help her. And he is no easy ally. Maui, once a hero among the gods, is now a reluctant, self-absorbed demigod, more concerned with his own legend than saving the world. In a brilliant and hilarious musical number, You're Welcome, Maui introduces himself in true style, boasting about his many accomplishments and abilities, from his ability to shapeshift to his role in creating the world's animals. But beneath his bravado, it's clear that Maui is hiding something, and Moana must navigate his egocentric personality if she hopes to get the help she needs. As the story unfolds, Moana is pushed to the brink. She faces monstrous creatures, challenges that test her courage, and moments where it feels like all hope is lost. Yet, with each obstacle, she grows stronger. In one of the film's most emotional scenes, Moana, having been told time and time again that she's not cut out for this adventure, discovers her true strength. With the ocean as her guide and her ancestors watching over her, Moana realizes that the power to save her people, and to become the leader she was always meant to be, has been within her all along. There are moments in Moana that will stay with you long after the credits roll. The soundtrack, composed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Opataya Foai, and Mark Mancina, is nothing short of magical. The songs, especially How Far I'll Go and We Know the Way, serve not only as the emotional backbone of the film but as powerful anthems for anyone who's ever felt the call of the unknown. The animation itself is stunning, each frame bursting with color, from the shimmering blues of the ocean to the golden hues of the sunsets. And of course, the heart of the film lies in its themes of self-discovery, family, and the deep connection between people and their land. But what truly makes Moana unforgettable are its surprising twists. The film doesn't follow the conventional route of a hero's journey. It subverts expectations in ways that will catch even the most seasoned moviegoer off guard. It's not just the adventure that will leave you breathless, but the emotional depth and complexity of the characters. Moana's relationship with Maui, her understanding of the ocean, and her final confrontation with the dark forces threatening her world, all of these moments are more than just plot points. They are part of a deeper story about growth, responsibility, and the inevitable clash between one's desires and one's duties. In the final act, when all seems lost, and the stakes couldn't be higher, the film takes a stunning turn. The twist isn't just in the narrative, but in what Moana learns about herself and the world around her. The strength she finds within is not through the conquest of enemies or the triumph over challenges, but through understanding her place in the world, her responsibility to her people, and the delicate balance that exists between all things. It's a revelation that is as powerful as it is poignant, leaving audiences with a sense of awe and fulfillment that only a truly great film can achieve. In the end, Moana is more than just a film. It's a journey, a beautiful, thrilling, and transformative adventure that sweeps you away to a world of legends, challenges, and discovery. It's a story of a girl who, against all odds, finds her true calling and becomes the hero her people need. And in doing so, she teaches us all that the greatest adventure is not the one that takes you far from home, but the one that leads you to find out who you really are. In the heart of the Pacific, where the sea stretches out as far as the eye can see, there exists an island unlike any other, a place where vibrant green jungles meet the deep blue of the ocean, and where the sound of the waves lapping against the shore is as constant as the heartbeat of its people. This island is called Motunui, a paradise untouched by time, where the villagers live in harmony with nature and where every day brings new opportunities to celebrate life, community, and the endless rhythm of the sea. Here, the ancient wisdom of the elders and the spirited energy of the young intertwine, creating a world brimming with stories passed down through generations. At the heart of this world stands Moana Waialaiki, a girl with eyes that shimmer like the ocean under the midday sun and a spirit as wild and untamed as the very sea she dreams of exploring. The island's vibrant culture pulses through her veins, and yet, Moana feels a longing, a pull towards something beyond the horizon, something she can't quite name, but something she knows she must seek. As the daughter of Chief Tui, she is expected to embrace her role as the future leader of Motunui, guiding the people with wisdom, strength, and caution. But Moana's heart beats for the ocean, not the shore, and it's a feeling that runs deep within her, a calling she can neither ignore nor fully understand. Her father, Chief Tui, a man whose entire life has been dedicated to the protection of their island and its people, watches over Moana with a mixture of pride and concern. He knows the weight of leadership all too well and believes that Moana must learn the same lessons of responsibility and restraint. To him, the ocean is a dangerous force, a capricious, unpredictable element that must be kept at bay. He teaches her that the island and its people are all that matter, that life outside the reef is too treacherous, too uncertain. The idea of Moana venturing beyond the boundaries of their safe, isolated world is unthinkable. She must stay, must lead, and must never stray too far from the safety of Motunui's shores. But for Moana, the call of the sea is irresistible. It beckons to her in her dreams and stirs within her when she gazes out at the horizon. She doesn't understand it, but she feels it, an unshakable instinct, as if the ocean itself has a voice, one that only she can hear. Despite her father's warnings, she finds herself sneaking away from the village, inching closer to the reef that keeps them all bound in place. The pull is undeniable, the mystery of the open water far too alluring to ignore. In these quiet moments, Moana dreams of what lies beyond, the adventures, the stories, and perhaps, a deeper understanding of herself. Her mother, Sina, is a more gentle presence in Moana's life, offering quiet encouragement and subtle guidance, though always mindful of her husband's more rigid views. She knows her daughter is different, that Moana's heart belongs to the ocean in a way that no one else in the village can understand. While she doesn't share the same fears about the sea as Chief Tui, she too recognizes that Moana's destiny is not one that can be easily shaped or controlled. Yet, she supports her daughter's curiosity in a way that feels both nurturing and knowing. Sina sees that there is something powerful stirring within Moana, something that will not be silenced. The tension between Moana's dreams and her father's expectations begins to simmer when the island faces a crisis. The crops begin to fail, and the fish are no longer as plentiful as they once were. The waters that once sustained Motunui are growing more unpredictable, and the islanders find themselves grappling with a slow, creeping fear. Their lives have always been inextricably tied to the sea, and now, the ocean itself seems to be turning against them. The elders speak of old stories, ancient prophecies, and the vanishing of the voyagers, but no one has an answer for the troubling changes they see before them. Moana, who has always believed in the ocean's ability to provide and to guide, feels a deep, unsettling disconnection from the very thing that has always nurtured her people. The land is becoming less bountiful, and the sea is becoming more hostile. She watches as her father grows increasingly anxious, doubling down on his insistence that the island must be protected at all costs, that no one should venture out to seek answers. He believes in the safety of the familiar, the comfort of tradition. But Moana knows, deep down, that something must be done. The island cannot continue to suffer in silence, and she cannot ignore the pull of the ocean any longer. It is in this moment of crisis that her grandmother Tala, wise, whimsical, and deeply connected to the spiritual history of their people, steps forward with a truth that will alter the course of Moana's life forever. Tala, who has always recognized the deep, untapped potential within her granddaughter, shares with her the forgotten history of their people, of ancient voyagers who sailed the vast ocean, guided by the stars and the winds, and whose journeys spanned the far reaches of the world. She speaks of the great demigod Maui, once a hero to the people, who stole the heart of Te Whaiti, a powerful artifact that kept the balance of the world intact. In his arrogance, Maui's theft unleashed chaos, causing the ocean to turn against them and forcing their ancestors to abandon their seafaring ways. Tala believes that Moana is destined to restore the lost ways of the voyagers and to find Maui, who, though he has vanished, still holds the key to restoring balance to the world. The heart of Te Fiti must be returned, and only someone with the courage and determination to venture beyond the reef can bring it back. Tala sees Moana as the one who will unlock the island's true potential, someone who will not be constrained by the fears that have kept their people anchored in place for so long. It is here, at this crossroads, that Moana must decide whether to follow her calling or to remain within the safety of the island's borders. With Tala's encouragement, she makes the fateful decision to set sail. But as she prepares to leave, there is a tension in the air, a weight that hangs over her departure. Chief Tui, unaware of his daughter's plans, is adamantly against any idea of venturing beyond the reef. When he discovers her secret, his anger flares, and in a heated confrontation, he forbids Moana to leave. His voice is filled with fear and concern, the fear of losing his daughter to the vast, unpredictable world beyond. For a moment, Moana hesitates. The love she has for her father, for her people, tugs at her heart. She wants to stay, to follow the path he has laid out for her, but the ocean calls to her with an urgency she cannot ignore. Her dreams are no longer just dreams. They are a part of her destiny. She cannot let her father's fears define her path. And so, in a final, defiant act of courage, Moana steals away under the cover of night, boarding a small boat, with only her courage and the stories Tala has passed down to guide her. As she sets sail toward the unknown, the village behind her grows smaller and smaller, until it is but a dot on the horizon. She looks back one last time, unsure if she will ever return, but with a heart full of purpose. She has no choice now but to move forward, to embrace the legacy her grandmother saw within her, and to challenge the fears that have kept her people trapped for so long. Little does she know, her journey is just beginning, and the twists and challenges that await her will push her to the very edge of what she thought was possible. As Moana sails further into the unknown, the ocean stirs with life, and the winds seem to whisper secrets long forgotten. There are forces at play, ancient powers that have been waiting for this moment, for someone like Moana to come and set things right. She is not only searching for Maui or the heart of Te Fiti. She is about to uncover something far greater. The strength to face her fears, to reclaim her people's legacy, and to discover the truth of her own destiny. The adventure has only just begun, and with it comes the promise of challenges, revelations, and triumphs beyond anything Moana could have ever imagined. As Moana sailed farther from the shores of Motunui, the horizon stretched endlessly before her, an infinite sea of uncertainty. The wind pushed her small boat forward, the sails billowing with a sense of freedom she'd never known. Her heart raced with excitement, but also with a gnawing feeling of doubt, an uncertainty that lingered like the salty air around her. She was leaving behind the life she knew, the comforts of home, the people she loved, to face a world that had always felt both beautiful and terrifying. Yet, she could not ignore the fire that burned within her. The sea was no longer just a symbol of adventure. It was calling her to something far greater, something that transcended her desires and fears. It was a call to restore the balance her island had lost, to recover what had been taken, to find Maui, and to reclaim the heart of Te Fiti. Her journey had only just begun, and it had already become more than she could have ever anticipated. Her first encounter on the open water was not with Maui, as she had hoped, but with the vast loneliness of the sea itself. Days turned into nights, and the endless expanse of blue was broken only by the occasional squall, which tested her resolve, pushing her to the brink. It was a battle between herself and the ocean, and though Moana had always felt connected to it, she now found herself learning its moods and rhythms in ways she'd never imagined. The sea, once a thing of beauty and wonder, became an unpredictable force, its waves sometimes playful and other times angry, as though it was testing her courage, her determination. But Moana pressed on, driven by a belief she hadn't fully understood until that moment. The sea would guide her if she allowed it to. It was when she finally caught sight of Maui's island that the real test of her courage began. The small, jagged island loomed before her like a dark silhouette against the afternoon sky, an ominous reminder that her journey was far from over. Her excitement waned as she drew closer to the island, a place steeped in legend, where the great demigod had once lived and now, it seemed, still haunted the edge of myth. She anchored her boat on the rocky shore and stepped onto the island, her heart pounding with both anticipation and fear. This was the place where everything had begun. The theft of the heart of Te Fiti, the chaos that followed, the vanishing of the voyaging people. Everything had led her here, and yet she felt small and insignificant against the immensity of it all. Maui, when she finally found him, was not the hero of her childhood stories. He was no towering figure of strength and wisdom. Instead, he was a figure of arrogance and frustration, a being who had been broken by time, by his own mistakes, and by the betrayal of the very people he had once helped. The demigod who had once been adored, who had shaped the world with his magical fishhook, was now a disgruntled recluse, hiding away from his past. When Moana first encountered him, he was more interested in avoiding her than in helping her. He saw her as just another mortal trying to fix something she didn't understand. His bravado, his self-importance, and his refusal to acknowledge the gravity of the situation were infuriating. Moana had come all this way, and he, in his arrogance, was not willing to help her. Their first encounter was fraught with tension, full of bluster and self-deprecation. Maui sang his now famous song, "You're Welcome," as though mocking Moana for even considering him her savior. He was a trickster, a god who had done too much for too many, and now, all he wanted was to be left in peace. Yet Moana, in her stubbornness and determination, refused to let him go so easily. What she didn't know, what neither of them knew, was that the journey to this moment had already begun to change them both. As the days passed, Moana's persistence began to crack through Maui's defenses. She demanded that he return the heart of Te Fiti, but he resisted, not because he was evil, but because he was terrified. The heart had been lost to him too, taken by the same forces that had driven him to take it in the first place. His mistake had cost him everything, his powers, his place among the gods, and his sense of purpose. What Moana didn't realize was that Maui wasn't just a demigod full of pride. He was a broken being, one who had lost his way, whose fear of failure had driven him to hide from the world. His bitterness and arrogance were masks for a deep, unresolved pain. It was in these moments, when they clashed and argued, that Moana began to understand the nature of her mission, not to recover the heart for the world's sake, but for Maui's. Her journey was not just about restoring balance. It was about healing the wounds of the past, both for herself and for the people she had come to love. The turning point came when the two of them were forced to work together. The ocean, which had always been a constant companion to Moana, intervened, guiding her through moments of doubt and uncertainty. It was the ocean that brought them together when all seemed lost. And it was the ocean that whispered the truth in Moana's ear. To find her own strength, she had to understand and accept the weakness of others. In a stunning moment of emotional clarity, Moana realized that her father's fears, Maui's pride, and her own insecurities were all part of the same story, one that had been unfolding for generations, a story of human frailty, ambition, and redemption. The final battle, the climax of Moana's journey, was not one fought with swords or strength, but with understanding, empathy, and the courage to face one's own past. When Moana finally confronted the darkness that threatened to swallow the world, the fiery creature, Te with Macron, who guarded the heart of Te Fiti, she didn't fight with force. Instead, she offered the heart, knowing that only through an act of pure, unselfish love could the curse be lifted. The twist in this moment, the revelation that Te with Macron was not a force of destruction, but rather the transformed spirit of Te Fiti herself, was a stunning realization of how intertwined their fates had been all along. The chaos, the fear, the pain, and the loss had all been part of the same cycle, and only by confronting the past could the world be restored. In the moment when the heart was returned, the ocean stilled. The fiery rage of Te with Macron melted away, revealing the lush, green paradise of Te Fiti once more. The island bloomed, and the waters calmed, as though the entire world had exhaled. Maui, too, was transformed in that moment, not by his powers, but by his willingness to take responsibility for his actions, to face the consequences of his past, and to reclaim his place as a hero in his own right. Moana, standing at the edge of the sea, felt something shift within her. She had come to the ocean seeking answers, but what she had found was a deeper understanding of herself. She had learned that leadership wasn't just about strength or control. It was about trust, humility, and the willingness to face the unknown. Her journey, both outward and inward, had brought her to a place where she could finally understand what it meant to be truly brave. Not the kind of bravery that comes from fighting battles, but the kind that comes from knowing when to listen, when to let go, and when to believe in the power of love and forgiveness. The resolution, when it came, was not just a return to normalcy, but a new beginning. Moana returned to Motunui, not as a girl seeking her place, but as a leader who had found it. She stood on the shore, no longer afraid of the ocean, no longer bound by the fears of her father or the traditions of her people. She had embraced her destiny, not as a conqueror, but as a healer, someone who understood the balance between the land and the sea, between the past and the future. The island, now restored, thrived once again. The villagers, once wary of the ocean, now looked to Moana with a newfound respect, as she led them in rediscovering the ways of the voyagers. The ocean, which had once seemed a force of danger, now became a partner, guiding them to new horizons. The final moments of the film, as Moana sets sail once again, this time with her people beside her, are a testament to the journey she has taken. She has found not only her place in the world but her purpose. The past has been healed, the balance restored, and Moana, the girl who once feared the vastness of the ocean, now stands as its fearless leader. The world is open before her, and she is ready to sail, to explore, and to lead her people into a new era, one filled with hope, possibility, and the promise of adventure. At the heart of Moana is its eponymous heroine, a young girl whose journey is as much about self-discovery as it is about saving her island and its people. Moana Waialaiki, voiced by the incredibly talented Auliʻi Cravalho, is introduced to the audience as a spirited, brave, and curious soul, someone whose heart beats to the rhythm of the ocean. From the moment we meet her, we see that she is not simply a princess confined by the traditional expectations of her title. Moana is a dreamer, a thinker, and most importantly, a seeker, always reaching beyond the horizon for something greater than herself. Her motivation to venture beyond the shores of Motunui is born not out of mere wanderlust, but from a deep, instinctive understanding that the island's people are suffering, that the land and the sea are out of balance, and that she has the power to restore it. What makes Moana such a compelling character is the way she wrestles with the weight of her responsibility and her desire to explore the world beyond her father's carefully drawn boundaries. Throughout the film, she is torn between the love and respect she has for her family, particularly her father, Chief Tui, and the fierce pull of the ocean that calls to her, relentlessly. It's this inner conflict that drives her evolution, transforming her from a curious, uncertain girl into a courageous and self-assured leader. Auliʻi Cravalho's performance captures this evolution beautifully, infusing Moana with a sense of vulnerability and determination that makes her incredibly relatable. Her voice, full of warmth and hope, also conveys the quiet moments of doubt that Moana feels, which makes her moments of triumph all the more powerful. Through Cravalho's portrayal, Moana feels like a real, complex person rather than just a typical Disney heroine, and her journey becomes one of the most emotionally resonant arcs in recent animated history. As Moana's story unfolds, it becomes clear that her journey is one of internal growth as much as external adventure. At the beginning of the film, she is determined, but naive, her dreams of voyaging fueled by an untested sense of wonder. By the end, she has learned that true leadership is not about conquering the sea or proving herself to others, but about understanding her place in the world and trusting herself. The pivotal moment of her growth occurs when she finally comes to understand that her real strength lies not in her ability to fight or to control, but in her capacity to listen, to the ocean, to her ancestors, and to the wisdom within her heart. This realization allows her to become the leader her people need, a leader who will not only lead her people back to the sea, but also show them the importance of respect for the forces of nature and the wisdom of the past. Maui, the demigod who is both Moana's greatest ally and adversary, is the perfect foil to her earnestness and growth. Voiced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Maui is the archetypal trickster, brash, proud, and full of swagger. At first, Maui is not the heroic figure that Moana hopes for, but rather a self-absorbed, reluctant god whose boastful arrogance masks deep insecurities. He's been abandoned by his fellow gods and is living in exile, consumed by the shame of his past mistakes, particularly the theft of the heart of Te Whaiti. Maui's character is defined by this complex mixture of egotism and vulnerability. He's not evil, but rather a deeply flawed individual whose past actions have left him isolated and disconnected from the world around him. Johnson's performance as Maui is a masterclass in balancing humor with pathos. His bravado in songs like You're Welcome is infectious, drawing laughter and delight, but it's the quieter moments, when Maui reveals the reasons behind his fear and his retreat from the world, that show the true depth of the character. His relationship with Moana is one of both resistance and eventual acceptance. Initially, Maui sees her as an annoyance, a mere mortal who doesn't understand the complexities of the world. But as the two journey together, a bond begins to form. Moana's persistence, her unwillingness to give up on him even when he seems unworthy of her faith, allows Maui to confront his own failings and eventually take responsibility for his actions. The transformation that Maui undergoes is central to the film's themes of redemption and the acceptance of one's past. By the end of the film, Maui is no longer the boastful trickster who seeks validation through grand feats of strength. He is a demigod who has learned to accept his own humanity, and it's a transformation that is as satisfying as it is moving. While Moana and Maui are the central figures in the story, Moana also offers a host of supporting characters who add both depth and warmth to the film. Chief Tui, Moana's father, is a character whose motivations are deeply rooted in love and protection, but also in fear. Voiced by Temuera Morrison, Tui is a man who has seen the dangers of the ocean firsthand and is resolute in his belief that the sea is a threat to his people. His insistence that Moana stay away from the water stems from a deep, protective instinct, but it also reflects his inability to see the potential within his daughter. Tui's relationship with Moana is fraught with tension. He cannot understand why she would want to leave the island when everything they need is right there in front of them. Yet, his love for her is undeniable, and as the film progresses, we see him slowly come to terms with her journey. His emotional growth culminates in the film's final scenes, where he not only accepts Moana's role as a leader but embraces the idea that she must forge her own path, one that may take her beyond the safety of the island. Chief Tui's arc is a poignant reminder that love sometimes manifests as control, and that the true test of love is in the ability to let go. Tala, Moana's grandmother, is perhaps the most spiritually connected character in the film. Voiced by Rachel House, Tala is the village elder who carries the knowledge of their ancestors and the ancient ways of the voyagers. She understands Moana in a way that no one else does, recognizing the deep connection her granddaughter has to the sea. Tala's belief in Moana's destiny is unwavering, and she encourages the young girl to follow the call of the ocean, even when the rest of the village, especially Chief Tui, remain steadfast in their refusal to acknowledge the outside world. Tala's relationship with Moana is one of mentorship, but also one of spiritual guidance. She represents the wisdom of the past, urging Moana to understand that true leadership is about embracing one's heritage and using it to shape the future. Tala's death, which occurs just before Moana sets sail to find Maui, is a pivotal moment in the film. Her passing marks the end of an era, but also the beginning of Moana's full realization of her potential. Tala's final words, urging Moana to know the way, become the guiding mantra for Moana's journey, and her spirit continues to live on in Moana's actions, whether through the stars above or the water at her feet. Then there's Sina, Moana's mother, whose role is more subtle but equally important. Voiced by Nicole Scherzinger, Sina is a nurturing figure who stands as the emotional anchor for Moana throughout her early life. While Chief Tui's fears often seem to limit Moana's freedom, Sina is more supportive, even though she, too, knows the dangers of the ocean. She provides the emotional warmth that Moana needs to weather the storms of her journey. Sina's quiet encouragement in the face of her husband's objections speaks to the delicate balance of love and wisdom she brings to Moana's life. She is, in many ways, the voice of reason, offering Moana the strength to follow her heart when it seems like all others are telling her to stay. The supporting characters in Moana also extend to the inhabitants of the island, who serve to ground the narrative in a sense of community and heritage. While they don't have as much screen time as the core group, Their presence is felt through their actions and interactions with Moana. The village, with its songs, traditions, and celebrations, is a living testament to the world Moana is trying to save. They represent the past that Moana is fighting to preserve, but also the future she is willing to forge. In the world of Moana, no character is static. Every person, from the demigod Maui to the villagers of Motunui, undergoes a transformation, and it's through these characters' evolution that the film's themes of self-discovery, responsibility, and the healing power of love come to life. Each performance, from Auliʻi Cravalho's heartfelt portrayal of Moana to Dwayne Johnson's charismatic yet vulnerable Maui, adds depth and richness to the narrative. The journey of these characters, woven together by their strengths, weaknesses, and eventual growth, elevates Moana from a simple adventure story into something far more profound. A celebration of what it means to truly understand and embrace one's identity, purpose, and the ties that bind us to the world around us. Creating Moana was no small feat. The production process behind this 2016 Disney animated film was a mammoth endeavor, involving countless hours of research, creative experimentation, and overcoming unexpected challenges. Behind the breathtaking visuals and soaring musical numbers lies a team of storytellers, animators, and musicians who worked tirelessly to bring this tropical tale to life. And while the final product is polished and seamless, there are countless fascinating details about the movie's creation, hidden gems woven into the narrative, and behind-the-scenes stories that illuminate just how much thought and care went into every frame. One of the most interesting aspects of the film's production was the studio's commitment to authenticity, particularly in its representation of Polynesian culture. From the very beginning, the filmmakers recognized the importance of ensuring that the story felt not only true to the islands and their history but also respectful of the traditions and beliefs of the people. To achieve this, the production team embarked on extensive research trips to the Pacific Islands, traveling to locations like Fiji, Samoa, and Tahiti to immerse themselves in the environment, the people, and the culture. These trips weren't just about gathering visual references for the animation team. They were an integral part of the creative process. The filmmakers met with cultural experts, historians, and artists, all of whom played a role in shaping the film's direction. The idea was not only to tell an entertaining story but to honor the ancient traditions of voyaging and navigation, which were vital to the culture of the Polynesian islands. The importance of these research trips cannot be overstated, as they directly influenced the design of the movie's setting and characters. The island of Motunui, which serves as Moana's home, was created to feel as if it were a real place, filled with lush forests, sparkling beaches, and towering mountains. Every palm tree, rock formation, and rolling wave was carefully crafted to evoke the tropical beauty of the Pacific Islands. The attention to detail was staggering. Animators spent months studying the way light played on water, the way the sea moved and ebbed with the tide, and the subtle shifts in the environment as the sun rose and set. One of the most intricate elements was the animation of the ocean itself, which, in the film, takes on a life of its own. The team was determined to make the ocean feel like a character, not just a backdrop. It's a feat of animation, requiring an understanding of physics, water movement, and visual storytelling. The result is a character that's at once playful, dangerous, and nurturing, a true reflection of the sea's unpredictable nature. But bringing the world of Moana to life wasn't just about creating realistic environments. It was about capturing the spirit and soul of the islands. One of the ways the team achieved this was by working with a number of consultants and experts on Polynesian culture, including cultural ambassadors from various Pacific Island nations. These consultants helped ensure that the film's depiction of traditions, values, and the stories it tells was rooted in truth. They advised on everything from the design of the characters' clothing to the way they interacted with each other. This commitment to cultural authenticity is evident in the way Moana's character is developed. She is never portrayed as a stereotypical princess, but as a strong, capable young woman whose journey is deeply personal and reflective of the values of her community. Her connection to the sea, in particular, is based on the real-life navigational practices of the Polynesian people, who used the stars, wind, and ocean currents to explore vast distances across the Pacific long before modern technology made such feats of navigation possible. The movie also features some subtle but significant Easter eggs and references for fans to discover. One such Easter egg is the inclusion of a hidden Mickey Mouse. While it's common for Disney films to feature a nod to the beloved mouse, the one in Moana is a little more difficult to spot. During the scene when Moana and Maui first encounter each other on the small island, as they argue about the heart of Te Whaiti, there's a moment where Maui creates a massive, magical fishhook that's designed to resemble the shape of Mickey's ears. It's a brief, blink-and-you'll-miss-it moment, but it's a fun reference to Disney's rich history. But Easter eggs aren't just limited to Mickey Mouse. If you look closely, you can find several callbacks to Disney's previous films scattered throughout the world of Moana. For example, when Moana is preparing to leave her island and set sail, the design of her boat is intentionally reminiscent of the boats featured in The Lion King, drawing a visual link between the two films and their shared themes of journey and self-discovery. There's also a visual nod to the iconic carpet from Aladdin, which can be spotted in the background of one of the scenes, just as the camera zooms in on a particular object in Moana's hut. It's a delightful moment for Disney fans who enjoy picking up on these small but meaningful references to the studio's past. Perhaps one of the most fascinating aspects of Moana is the movie's musical landscape, which was shaped by the talents of Lin-Manuel Miranda, Opetaia Fo'ai, and Mark Mancina. The soundtrack, which would go on to become one of Disney's most beloved collections of songs, was a product of a collaboration between these three musical geniuses. Miranda, best known for Hamilton, brought his trademark blend of fast-paced, witty lyricism to the film, crafting songs that were both catchy and thought-provoking. The song How Far I'll Go, for example, captures Moana's inner conflict and desire for adventure, becoming her personal anthem throughout the movie. It's a song that resonates with anyone who has ever felt torn between duty and desire, and Miranda's ability to articulate Moana's journey in such an emotionally resonant way helped elevate the film's narrative. Fo'ai, a native of the Pacific Islands, brought an authentic voice to the soundtrack, infusing the music with the rhythms and traditions of Polynesian culture. His contributions to the score, such as the rousing We Know the Way, which highlights Moana's ancestors' legacy of exploration, were crucial in grounding the film's musical identity in the culture it aimed to represent. Mark Mancina, a veteran composer, tied everything together with his orchestral arrangements, blending sweeping, cinematic scores with more intimate moments that complemented the emotional beats of the film. The music not only served as a driving force for the story but also became a character in its own right, moving seamlessly between styles, from the powerful anthems to the tender ballads, helping to deepen the film's themes of identity, heritage, and the universal desire to chart one's own course. Despite the success of the soundtrack, the making of the film was not without its challenges. One of the most notable obstacles came in the form of Moana's design. In early stages of production, the filmmakers struggled with how to visually present Moana as a character who was both grounded in her cultural heritage and relatable to a global audience. Initially, the design team had created a version of Moana that was slightly older and more mature-looking. However, as they worked with Cravalho, they realized that Moana's character needed to be younger, more innocent, and filled with raw determination. Her appearance was then reworked to emphasize her youth and energy, with larger eyes and a more expressive face, to make her more universally relatable while still retaining the cultural authenticity the team was striving for. Cravalho herself brought her own sense of enthusiasm and passion to the character, and her voice work contributed to shaping Moana into the determined, empathetic heroine that audiences fell in love with. There was also the matter of the film's timeline. With a production team of hundreds working simultaneously on different aspects of the movie, from animation to voice recording to music, there was a constant balancing act between keeping the creative vision intact while meeting the deadlines necessary for a theatrical release. This pressure meant that the team had to work longer hours than usual, with animators sometimes facing weeks of reworking scenes in response to feedback from directors and producers. But despite the grueling hours, the collaborative spirit remained strong throughout, with everyone, from the animators to the technical artists to the voice cast, working towards a common goal: to make Moana the best it could possibly be. One particularly difficult decision in the production process came when the team had to choose how to portray the film's antagonist, Te with Macron, the fiery lava monster who guards the heart of Te Whaiti. Early drafts of the character presented her as a more traditional villain, one with a clear desire for destruction. However, as the story evolved, the filmmakers realized that Te with Macron's role in the narrative was more complex than they had originally thought. The decision to reveal Te with Macron's true identity, that she is the transformed form of the goddess Te Fiti, was one of the film's most significant creative choices. It added a layer of emotional depth to the story, making the confrontation not a battle of good versus evil but a moment of reconciliation. This change not only strengthened the film's themes of forgiveness and healing but also elevated the emotional impact of the climax, as Moana's act of selflessness becomes the catalyst for restoring balance to the world. Every frame of Moana is filled with details that reflect the immense effort and dedication of the filmmakers. From the smallest background animations to the grandest musical numbers, the movie is a tapestry of carefully considered choices, each one contributing to the rich, immersive experience that audiences cherish. The hidden secrets of the set, from the intricate references to Disney's past to the commitment to cultural accuracy, serve as a testament to the passion and hard work that went into making Moana more than just another animated film. It's a labor of love, one that will continue to inspire and captivate for years to come. From the moment the opening notes of How Far I'll Go echo through the film, it's clear that Moana is far more than a typical Disney adventure. At its core, this story is about identity, self-discovery, and the pull between tradition and personal destiny. Every major moment in the film deepens these themes, adding layers of emotional complexity that resonate deeply with audiences. What's remarkable about Moana is how the film crafts these moments, not just as plot points, but as emotional milestones in the heroine's journey toward understanding herself, her people, and the broader world. Each twist, every challenge she faces, brings her closer to a revelation, and these moments work on multiple levels to shape the impact of the film. The very first key moment that sets the tone for the movie is Moana's song How Far I'll Go, where she stands at the edge of the ocean, contemplating her place in the world. Her longing for adventure is immediate, but so is her sense of duty to her people, and her father's restrictions are deeply felt. In this song, Moana vocalizes a tension that runs throughout the entire movie, an internal conflict between the safety of her island life and the uncertain calling of the ocean. The juxtaposition between the familiar comfort of her village and the lure of the unknown speaks to a universal desire many of us feel, being tethered to the familiar while yearning for something beyond it. This internal pull is amplified when she sings, but the voice inside sings a different song, signaling a theme of listening to one's own instincts, a notion that will recur throughout the story. What makes Moana so compelling is that these tensions don't just serve as character development. They are thematic signposts that guide the viewer through the movie. The film is not merely about Moana's personal quest for self-understanding, but also about how we, as individuals and communities, navigate the balance between following tradition and embracing change. This is embodied most poignantly in the relationship between Moana and her father, Chief Tui. In the early stages of the film, Tui's overprotectiveness and rigid adherence to tradition are in direct conflict with Moana's restless spirit. His insistence on keeping her grounded, on discouraging her from venturing out into the sea, is born of love and fear. Yet his failure to understand Moana's deeper connection to the ocean, and her role in the future of the island, ultimately makes him the emotional antagonist, even though his intentions are pure. The pivotal moment when Moana defies her father, taking the boat and sailing into the unknown, is both exhilarating and heartbreaking. It represents Moana's first step into adulthood, the moment when she makes the decision to trust herself above all else, even when the ones she loves most try to hold her back. This choice is powerful not only for Moana as a character, but for the audience, as it speaks to the broader theme of taking risks in pursuit of a greater purpose. The emotional weight of this moment lands hard because it taps into something we've all experienced, the feeling of choosing our own path, even when it means breaking away from the expectations placed on us by others. Yet it's not just the act of defiance that resonates. The sequence leading up to her departure, when she is found by her grandmother Tala, is another one of the film's emotional linchpins. Tala's wisdom and unwavering faith in Moana are crucial to her growth. As she hands Moana the heart-shaped stone, she tells her, "The ocean chose you," signaling not just Moana's inheritance of a heroic destiny, but also her unique connection to something greater than herself. This act of mentorship is a quiet but essential part of the movie's emotional landscape, underscoring the importance of generational wisdom and the idea that we are not just shaped by our own decisions, but by the legacy of those who came before us. When Tala dies shortly after this scene, it's both a moment of devastating loss and a catalyst for Moana's transformation. Tala's passing marks the end of the old ways and the beginning of Moana's journey toward becoming the leader her people need. It's in her grandmother's absence that Moana realizes the true weight of her responsibility, not only to her ancestors but to her people and herself. When Moana first meets Maui, the demigod who stole the heart of Te Fiti, the tension between them is palpable. Maui, voiced by Dwayne Johnson, is brash, arrogant, and dismissive of Moana at first, seeing her as just another mortal who can't possibly understand the complexities of his mythic world. Yet this dynamic is essential to both the plot and the thematic fabric of the film. Maui's flaws, his ego, his need for validation, and his tendency to push others away, are key to his character arc, but they also serve as a counterpoint to Moana's purity of heart and unwavering determination. Their interactions reveal important lessons about both humility and the complexity of heroism. Maui's backstory, his fall from grace after stealing the heart of Te Fiti and his subsequent exile, adds another layer to the story. This is not a villainous character in the traditional sense. Rather, Maui is a deeply flawed hero who must come to terms with his own mistakes and find redemption, something Moana will eventually help him do. What's remarkable here is that the film allows Maui to be both a comic relief character and a symbol of vulnerability. His bravado hides a profound sense of loss, and through his interactions with Moana, he slowly sheds the armor of arrogance, becoming a more complex and empathetic figure. This gradual unraveling of Maui is mirrored by Moana's own growth, and their bond deepens as they face the dangers of the ocean together. When Maui finally accepts responsibility for his actions, returning the heart of Te Fiti to its rightful place, it's a moment of emotional resolution not just for him but for the entire narrative. His redemption is tied directly to Moana's ability to forgive him, not in a grand, dramatic gesture, but in a quiet, understanding way that shows Moana's own evolution. She's no longer the naive girl who sought adventure for its own sake. She's now a leader who understands that growth often involves the ability to forgive and accept others, even when they fall short. But perhaps the most emotionally charged and thematically resonant moment in the film is Moana's confrontation with Te with Macron, the lava monster guarding the heart of Te Fiti. When Moana approaches Te with Macron, it seems as if the final confrontation is one of pure action. But as we learn later, it's not a battle to be fought. It's a test of Moana's growth, her ability to trust in herself and her instincts. When she realizes that Te with Macron is not an enemy but a guardian, a force twisted by loss and grief, the true battle becomes one of healing, not destruction. This realization, that Te with Macron is the goddess Te Fiti in a transformed state, reflects the central theme of Moana, that the greatest power lies not in conquering or fighting, but in understanding, reconciliation, and the courage to restore what has been broken. Moana's decision to restore the heart of Te Fiti is not just an act of bravery, it is an act of empathy and leadership. In doing so, she not only saves her people but also heals the ocean, restoring balance to the world. This climactic moment has profound emotional and thematic implications. Moana's journey is one of reconciling the past with the future, honoring her ancestors while forging her own path. In the moment of healing Te with Macron, Moana comes full circle. She is no longer the girl who defied her father's wishes to chase adventure. She is the leader who understands the importance of balance and harmony in all things. This is further underscored by the film's final sequence, where Moana returns to Motunui, now fully embracing her role as chief. She has come into her own not through struggle and resistance, but through wisdom, compassion, and the realization that leadership is not about dominance. It's about understanding and guiding others toward a better future. The impact of Moana on its audience is immeasurable, and these key moments are essential to that resonance. The film speaks to anyone who has ever questioned their purpose, their identity, or the path laid out for them by others. At its core, Moana is about stepping into your own power and, in doing so, lifting up others along the way. It challenges traditional notions of heroism, showing that real strength lies not in physical prowess or grandiose actions, but in vulnerability, empathy, and the ability to learn from the past. Through Moana's journey, viewers are reminded that the greatest challenges are often those we face within ourselves, and that true leadership is rooted in love, humility, and an unwavering belief in what is right. It's this timeless message that makes Moana not just a movie, but a profound, emotional experience that resonates long after the credits roll. Behind the stunning visuals and vibrant storytelling of Moana lies a world of technical wizardry that brought the film to life. Every element of the movie, from its breathtaking cinematography to its immersive sound design, is a product of thoughtful innovation and a meticulous approach to animation. The technical team behind Moana worked tirelessly to create a film that not only told a captivating story but also transported viewers to a world of lush islands, rolling waves, and mythic adventure. While the narrative and characters are undoubtedly at the heart of the film, it's the way these elements are presented that elevates the film into a cinematic masterpiece. From the very first frame, Moana captures the audience with its rich visual textures. The filmmakers wanted the world of Motunui to feel alive, and the animation team went to extraordinary lengths to achieve this goal. The water, in particular, was a focal point in the film's production, as it plays such a central role in the story. Animators spent countless hours studying the ocean, its movement, its color, its textures. They even traveled to the Pacific Islands, seeking inspiration from the real waters that would shape their vision. They discovered that the ocean is not a static element. It shifts and moves, reflecting the moods of the characters and the world around it. Translating that dynamic quality into animation was no small feat. The water in Moana is almost a character in itself, sometimes playful and inviting, other times mysterious and ominous. The technical achievement of animating the water was coupled with another groundbreaking element: the character of the ocean itself. Unlike previous Disney films, where the sea was primarily a backdrop, the ocean in Moana has its own agency. The animators had to develop an entirely new set of rules for how the water would behave, especially in scenes where it interacts with the characters. One memorable moment is when the ocean becomes a helpful guide for Moana, playing with her boat as she attempts to leave the shore. The ocean's fluid movements not only had to be realistic but also had to convey personality. Through groundbreaking techniques, the animators used an innovative combination of fluid dynamics, rendering technology, and artistic intuition to create a living, breathing sea that mirrored Moana's journey and her growing relationship with the world around her. Equally important to the film's success was the animation of its characters, especially Moana herself. Early on, the filmmakers faced the challenge of designing a protagonist who would feel both timeless and deeply grounded in the cultural context of the story. Moana's design had to reflect her Polynesian heritage while also resonating with global audiences. Her character was given a warmth and sincerity that was vital to the emotional core of the film. As animators worked on Moana's movements, they focused not just on technical precision but also on infusing her with life. Moana's expressive face and fluid body language were meticulously designed to convey her emotional journey. Every gesture, from the way she picks up the heart of Te Whaiti to how she reacts to Maui's teasing, was an intentional choice that drew viewers closer to her. The team also developed new technology for Moana's hair, which became another key aspect of the character's design. Her thick, curly hair is not just a physical attribute. It is a symbol of her identity and a key aspect of her visual representation. To create such intricate, realistic animation, the filmmakers worked with the visual effects department to develop a proprietary system for animating hair that was both technically advanced and artistically satisfying. This attention to detail brought a sense of realism to Moana that made her feel more relatable and her world more tangible. While the visual artistry was breathtaking, Moana's sound design was just as integral to its success. The film's score, composed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Opataya Foai, and Mark Mancina, was more than just a series of catchy tunes. It was a dynamic and emotional force that drove the narrative forward. Music in Moana is intricately tied to the themes of the film: identity, belonging, and the call to adventure. Each song is carefully crafted to serve a dual purpose: to propel the story and to explore the internal worlds of the characters. Miranda's infectious energy brought to life Moana's inner turmoil with How Far I'll Go, a song that not only expresses Moana's desire for something more but also embodies her struggle between familial duty and her own aspirations. The song's soaring melody mirrors her growth, building to an emotional crescendo that connects viewers to Moana's journey on a visceral level. The music of Moana also seamlessly blends cultural elements with Western musical sensibilities. Opataya Foi's Polynesian influences come through strongly, especially in the stirring We Know the Way, which celebrates Moana's ancestors and their epic voyages. The song's rhythms, harmonies, and lyrics are infused with the spirit of the islands, and they reflect the deep connection between the people of the Pacific and the sea. This fusion of musical styles creates a unique soundscape that mirrors the film's themes of cultural pride and exploration. Beyond the songs, the sound design itself plays a crucial role in bringing the world of Moana to life. The filmmakers went to great lengths to capture the authentic sounds of the islands and the sea. The sound of the ocean, the rustling of palm leaves, and the sounds of wildlife all create an immersive environment that envelops the audience. There's a particular moment when Moana first sails away from her island. Her boat is rocked by the waves, and the sound of the wind howls in her ears. This auditory experience mirrors her internal journey, the cacophony of doubt and excitement she feels as she steps into the unknown. But even in quieter moments, the sound design subtly enhances the emotional undercurrents. Take, for example, the sound that accompanies the scenes with Moana's grandmother, Tala. In these moments, the sound design shifts in tone, soft, ethereal, and almost magical, reflecting the spiritual guidance Tala offers Moana. When Tala appears as a spirit to guide Moana toward her destiny, the sound of waves crashing softly in the background creates a sense of calm that underscores the emotional significance of their bond. This kind of subtle sound work elevates the movie's emotional weight, allowing the audience to feel more deeply connected to the characters and their journeys. Behind the curtains of the production process, the filmmakers encountered numerous challenges, many of which sparked creative breakthroughs. One such challenge came with the character of Maui, the demigod whose journey is integral to the plot. Initially, the filmmakers were unsure how to portray Maui. His character was a tricky balance between comic relief and a tragic figure with a complex backstory. The decision to cast Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the role was a transformative one, as Johnson's unique blend of charisma and vulnerability became the perfect vehicle for Maui's character arc. The animators spent considerable time refining Maui's design, ensuring that his larger-than-life persona was reflected in both his physicality and his exaggerated expressions. His body type, larger-than-life with bulging muscles and an enormous fishhook, was designed not just to be visually striking but also to reflect the mythic quality of the character. As an example of the team's attention to detail, Maui's tattoos, which animate and shift depending on his mood, become a key storytelling device in the film. These tattoos not only serve as a visual representation of Maui's past feats but also evolve with him throughout the film, emphasizing his personal growth. Another interesting behind-the-scenes anecdote relates to the decision-making process regarding the climax of the film, when Moana confronts TKA with Macron. Early drafts of the film had the final showdown as a more traditional action sequence, one where Moana would fight and defeat TKA with Macron in a battle of physical strength. However, as the story evolved, the filmmakers realized that the true emotional weight of the film lay not in fighting, but in healing. This led to the decision to make the final encounter a confrontation based on understanding and reconciliation, not conflict. The shift was a testament to the film's underlying philosophy, that leadership and heroism come from empathy, not violence. This creative decision transformed the film's resolution into something far more profound and moving, as Moana's bravery and compassion were ultimately what restored balance to the world. Throughout the production of Moana, the filmmakers strived to push the boundaries of animation while staying true to the emotional core of the story. They experimented with new animation techniques, blending traditional hand-drawn methods with cutting-edge technology to create a film that felt both timeless and contemporary. The result is a film that's visually striking, emotionally resonant, and narratively innovative, a true testament to the artistry and technical skill of the people who brought it to life. In the end, the magic of Moana comes not just from its story but from the seamless integration of technique and creativity. Every frame, every sound, every character movement is a piece of a larger puzzle, an intricate work of cinematic artistry that transports the audience to a world of beauty, adventure, and emotional depth. The technical decisions, from the groundbreaking animation techniques to the nuanced sound design, work hand in hand with the narrative to create a truly immersive experience, making Moana a masterpiece that continues to captivate audiences long after its release. At the surface, Moana may seem like a charming tale of a young girl's journey to prove herself, filled with vibrant animation, catchy songs, and thrilling adventures on the high seas. But beneath the sweeping landscapes and infectious tunes lies a story brimming with profound themes and intricate symbolism, all of which elevate the film into something far more meaningful. As the narrative unfolds, Moana's journey becomes a reflection of timeless ideas: identity, destiny, self-discovery, and reconciliation. These themes are not just the backbone of the plot. They are intricately woven into every visual detail, every song, and every character interaction, transforming Moana into a cinematic experience that resonates with viewers on a deeply emotional and intellectual level. At its heart, Moana is a coming-of-age story about a young girl who must reconcile the expectations placed on her with her own desire to find her true path. Moana is torn between the world of her ancestors, who look to the ocean as both a source of sustenance and a spiritual guide, and the sheltered, safe life her father, Chief Tu'i, insists she lead. This internal conflict between tradition and personal ambition is central to the narrative, and it speaks to the universal challenge of navigating the tension between honoring one's heritage and following one's own dreams. Moana's desire to venture beyond the reef symbolizes the human yearning to explore, to seek new horizons, and to understand one's place in the world. The ocean calls to her not just as an adventurous escape, but as a conduit for personal transformation. Her journey out to sea is a physical manifestation of the larger journey of self-discovery, a way for her to break free from the constraints of her environment and truly understand who she is and what she is meant to do. However, Moana doesn't merely focus on the personal quest for identity. The film also explores the idea of leadership and the responsibilities it entails. In many ways, Moana's path mirrors the challenges that leaders face: the pressure to adhere to the expectations of those around them, the weight of historical legacies, and the need to reconcile past mistakes with the future. Chief Tu'i's overprotectiveness and rigid sense of duty toward tradition represent the difficulty many leaders have in letting go of old ways and embracing change. He believes that keeping Moana close, preventing her from venturing beyond the reef, will protect her and ensure the survival of their island community. Yet it's through her defiance and willingness to step into the unknown that Moana learns what it means to lead, not by control, but by vision, empathy, and the courage to follow her heart. This shift from tradition to transformation is one of the film's most powerful messages, showing that true leadership comes not from holding on to the past, but from understanding it, learning from it, and forging a new path forward. The idea of reconciliation plays a key role in Moana's journey, especially as she seeks to restore the heart of Te'i and heal the rift caused by Maui's theft. Maui, the demigod, is both an antagonist and a tragic hero. He is a figure of immense power but is deeply flawed, having made a mistake that has haunted him for ages. In many ways, he represents the struggle to come to terms with one's past actions. His theft of the heart, an act motivated by his desire for recognition and control, triggered a series of events that led to the curse on the ocean and the imbalance in the world. Throughout the film, Maui grapples with his guilt, his insecurities, and his desire for redemption. Yet it is only through Moana's compassion that he finds a way to redeem himself, revealing that the path to healing doesn't always require punishment or anger, but understanding and acceptance. Moana's ability to forgive and help Maui recognize his own worth is a powerful testament to the film's core belief that reconciliation, both with others and with oneself, is essential for growth and transformation. This theme of healing is symbolized not just in Maui's redemption arc but in the film's final climactic sequence, when Moana confronts Te'i with Macron, the monstrous lava creature guarding the heart of Te'i. In the moment when Moana is faced with the creature, the film subverts expectations of a traditional villain confrontation. Instead of battling Te'i with Macron in a physical sense, Moana confronts the deeper issue: the pain and loss that Te'i with Macron represents. Te'i with Macron, we learn, is actually Te'i, the goddess who created the islands, transformed by the grief of losing her heart. Moana's realization that the solution isn't to fight the monster, but to restore what was lost, is a profound commentary on the need for empathy and understanding in the face of conflict. The healing of Te with Macron symbolizes the restoration of balance in the world, and it is only through Moana's unwavering belief in the possibility of reconciliation that the curse is lifted and the world is set right. This moment encapsulates the film's message that true strength lies in the willingness to confront pain and loss, and that healing comes not through destruction, but through empathy, restoration, and renewal. The symbolism of the ocean itself is another key layer that enriches the film. The ocean, a recurring visual and narrative motif, is more than just a backdrop for Moana's adventures. It represents the unknown, the source of both life and danger, and the place where Moana's true potential is revealed. Early in the film, the ocean is depicted as a mysterious force, both playful and dangerous, mirroring Moana's inner conflict. As the story progresses, however, the ocean becomes a symbol of Moana's growing understanding of herself and her role in the world. It is no longer just a place of adventure, but a teacher, a guide, and a reflection of her internal journey. In the climactic moments when she returns the heart of Te, the ocean plays a crucial role, not as an adversary, but as a collaborator. It is Moana's relationship with the ocean, one of trust and understanding, that allows her to succeed in her quest. The ocean is, in many ways, a reflection of Moana's own evolution. It is no longer a force to be feared, but a source of empowerment and connection. The heart of Te, too, is a symbol rich in meaning. It is not just a literal object, but a representation of life itself, the heart of the world, the source of creation and destruction. When the heart is stolen by Maui, it sets in motion a series of events that throw the world out of balance. The theft of the heart can be seen as a metaphor for humanity's tendency to disrupt the natural order, to take without understanding the consequences. Yet the heart's return represents a restoration of harmony, both within Moana and the world she inhabits. The act of returning the heart is not just about fixing a mistake. It is about acknowledging the damage done and working to heal the rift between the past and the future. This symbolic act reinforces the film's broader themes of restoration, understanding, and the cyclical nature of life. There's also a profound connection between the story of Moana and the larger cultural context from which it emerges. The film is a celebration of Polynesian culture, mythology, and the deep connection between people and the sea. The film's creators worked closely with cultural experts to ensure that the representation of Polynesian traditions was respectful and authentic. The idea of voyaging, both literal and metaphorical, is central to many Polynesian myths, and in Moana, this theme is embodied in the narrative of the ancient explorers who once sailed the oceans. Moana's journey is not just her own, but part of a larger cultural legacy of discovery and adventure. This deeper layer of cultural symbolism connects the film to a rich history of exploration, storytelling, and community, reminding us that our personal stories are part of a much larger tapestry. As the film comes to a close, the themes of Moana coalesce into a powerful message about identity, responsibility, and leadership. Moana's return to her people, where she takes up her role as chief, is a moment of profound self-realization. She has not only learned who she is but has also come to understand the responsibility that comes with leadership. She is no longer simply the girl yearning for adventure. She is now the woman who understands that true leadership is not about power or control, but about guiding others with wisdom, empathy, and an open heart. Her journey has transformed her, just as it has transformed her people. In this sense, Moana is a film not just about a young girl's personal growth, but about the growth of a community, a culture, and a world. It is a reminder that the answers to the questions of identity and purpose are not just found within, but are deeply interconnected with the people and the world around us. Through Moana's journey, we learn that to truly understand ourselves, we must also understand the history, the struggles, and the potential of those who came before us and those who will come after. The making of Moana was as much a collaborative adventure as the journey undertaken by its titular character. From the very beginning, the cast, crew, and creative team embarked on an odyssey to create something that was not just visually stunning but deeply meaningful. With a story rooted in the rich cultural heritage of the Pacific Islands, every step of the production required an intricate balance of authenticity, creativity, and passion. The people behind Moana, the voices, the animators, the directors, and the musicians, formed a tight-knit team whose synergy would ultimately bring the story to life in ways both personal and profound. At the heart of this creative team were the voices of Moana and Maui, two characters whose journey together forms the backbone of the film. Auliʻi Cravalho, a then 14-year-old Hawaiian native, brought Moana to life with a depth and energy that made the character feel both timeless and immediately relatable. In interviews, Cravalho spoke often about the pressure she felt to represent her culture authentically, and how her personal connection to the role drove her to bring her best performance to every line, every note, and every scene. There was a natural chemistry between Cravalho and the team behind the film, especially with directors John Musker and Ron Clements, who had a deep respect for the cultural aspects of the story. Cravalho, despite being a newcomer to voice acting, infused Moana with a rawness and warmth that made her journey feel as much about self-discovery as it was about adventure. It's easy to forget that Moana was her debut film, because her performance is so mature, grounded, and full of emotion. Then there was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, whose larger-than-life presence was perfect for the role of Maui, the demigod who both hinders and helps Moana on her quest. Johnson's voice work, full of charisma and humor, made Maui instantly memorable, but it was his unique connection with the character that truly set his performance apart. Much like Maui, Johnson's real-life persona was a mix of strength, humor, and vulnerability. On set, he formed a special bond with the animators and directors, who worked tirelessly to ensure that Maui's exaggerated physicality matched the tone of his voice. Johnson's sense of humor became a defining characteristic of Maui, especially in moments where the demigod tries to convince Moana of his own greatness, even as his insecurities start to surface. Behind the scenes, Johnson was known for his playful energy, often bringing a sense of lightness to the studio. He would frequently break into song or improvise lines, which added a level of spontaneity and humor that would translate into the film's final cut. One of the most fascinating aspects of the creative journey of Moana was the degree of collaboration and cultural sensitivity that permeated every aspect of the film. From the very beginning, the filmmakers were determined to craft a story that honored the traditions, legends, and customs of the Polynesian people. To achieve this, they enlisted the help of cultural experts and consultants, who were integral to the authenticity of the film. Not only did they advise on everything from costume design to the accuracy of Moana's sailing techniques, but they also shared stories, myths, and songs that inspired the writing team. This collaborative process extended to the cast as well. Cravalho's deep connection to the Hawaiian culture played a vital role in shaping her portrayal of Moana. The team encouraged her to infuse her character with her own personal experiences and values. In interviews, Cravalho would reflect on how the support of the cultural consultants and her connection to her roots gave her the confidence to take on the role. Equally important were the contributions of the film's composers, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Opataya Fo'ai, and Mark Mancina, who brought the musical elements to life. Miranda, coming off the monumental success of Hamilton, brought his distinctive flair to Moana's music, while Fo'ai infused the score with authentic Polynesian musical traditions. The result was a soundscape that felt fresh, exciting, and deeply connected to the culture it represented. The collaboration between Miranda's modern sensibilities and Fo'ai's traditional influences created a musical fusion that resonated emotionally with audiences around the world. Behind the scenes, the composers often spoke about how the story's themes of exploration, identity, and self-discovery were woven seamlessly into the music. The songs became not just part of the story but a way to express what was unsaid, transforming the narrative into something that was felt just as much as it was seen. The directors, John Musker and Ron Clements, were no strangers to animation. They had worked on Disney classics like The Little Mermaid and Aladdin, but Moana marked a new chapter in their storied careers. Their approach to storytelling in Moana was deeply rooted in the belief that the characters' emotional journeys should be at the center of the film. Musker and Clements pushed for a more authentic representation of the Polynesian culture, and they made sure that the animation team understood the gravity of their responsibility in telling this story. In interviews, Musker and Clements expressed their gratitude for the cultural experts who worked with them, emphasizing how crucial it was to have their voices included throughout the process. They were not just making a film for a global audience but telling a story that would resonate deeply with the people whose culture it depicted. This commitment to authenticity was evident in every aspect of the film, from the visual style to the characters' mannerisms to the world building. As Moana began to take shape, it became clear that the collaborative spirit on set was not limited to just the voice cast and directors. The entire crew was deeply invested in the success of the film, and there was a sense of unity in every department, from animation to sound design to editing. The animators, for instance, spent countless hours studying the physical movements of people on the islands, capturing the fluidity and grace of the Polynesian culture in the way the characters moved. They also faced the monumental task of animating the ocean, which was more than just a backdrop. It was a character in its own right. The team developed groundbreaking animation techniques to depict the water as a dynamic and interactive force, one that could change based on the character's emotions and actions. This attention to detail added a layer of depth and realism to the film, creating an immersive experience that allowed audiences to feel the weight of Moana's journey. When Moana finally hit theaters in November 2016, the reactions from both critics and audiences were overwhelmingly positive. Critics praised the film for its beautiful animation, memorable music, and, most importantly, its strong, multifaceted protagonist. Moana's journey was celebrated as one of the most empowering and inspiring stories in Disney's catalog, with many drawing comparisons to other iconic Disney heroines, like Mulan and Pocahontas. What stood out about Moana, however, was the character's deep sense of self. Her growth was not about conquering external obstacles but about understanding her place in the world and coming into her own as a leader. Audiences, particularly from the Pacific Islands, expressed immense pride and joy at seeing their culture so accurately and lovingly represented on screen. The film became an important milestone in the representation of indigenous cultures in mainstream media, and for many, it felt like a long-overdue celebration of their stories. The music of Moana also received widespread acclaim, with songs like How Far I'll Go, You're Welcome, and We Know the Way quickly becoming instant classics. Lin-Manuel Miranda's infectious energy brought a new level of vibrancy to the film, and his work on Moana was lauded for its ability to capture the spirit of the story while also making it accessible to a global audience. Songs like How Far I'll Go were hailed for their emotional depth, perfectly capturing Moana's internal conflict between following her heart and fulfilling her responsibilities to her family and people. The score itself was nominated for several prestigious awards, and Miranda's contributions were widely recognized as some of the most impactful in recent Disney history. As the film continued to resonate with audiences, Moana began to garner multiple awards and nominations, including 2 Academy Award nominations for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song, How Far I'll Go. It became a cultural phenomenon, inspiring everything from costumes to theme park attractions, and even influencing the next wave of Disney heroines. Moana's resilience, empathy, and leadership left a lasting impact on audiences of all ages, cementing her place as one of Disney's most beloved characters. Beyond the accolades and critical acclaim, however, the true measure of Moana's success lies in the conversations it sparked. For many, it was more than just an animated film. It was a cultural milestone. It highlighted the importance of representation, storytelling, and cultural preservation in cinema. The filmmakers' commitment to staying true to the story's cultural roots, combined with their desire to create a universal narrative of growth and self-discovery, made Moana a film that transcended boundaries and resonated with audiences from all walks of life. The legacy of Moana is not just in its box office numbers or awards. It's in the way it has inspired a generation of young people to dream, explore, and find their own voices. When Moana sailed into theaters in 2016, it quickly became more than just another animated film. It set sail into the hearts of audiences, carving a lasting mark in cinema and pop culture. Its influence has been profound, shaping the way we view both animated films and the portrayal of diverse cultures, while also redefining what it means to be a hero in modern storytelling. From its groundbreaking representation of Polynesian culture to the empowerment it offered young viewers, Moana became a cultural touchstone, resonating far beyond the realm of film. At its core, Moana's success was not only about its breathtaking visuals or catchy music but the way it tapped into the growing global demand for diverse stories that felt authentic and inclusive. In an era where many animated films leaned on familiar fairy tales and whitewashed portrayals of non-Western cultures, Moana broke new ground by offering a fresh perspective. It didn't just showcase the Pacific Islands, it celebrated them, depicting their customs, beliefs, and people with pride and accuracy. This was no accident. The filmmakers worked closely with cultural consultants and experts, ensuring that the film honored the traditions and mythology of the Polynesian islands with the reverence they deserved. For audiences, especially those from the Pacific Islands, Moana was a groundbreaking moment of representation. It was a chance to see their stories, their values, and their world reflected in mainstream cinema in a way that felt deeply personal and respectful. But the film's legacy extends beyond cultural representation. It also redefined what it meant to be a hero in the context of animated films. For years, Disney heroes were often defined by physical prowess or traditional notions of bravery, characters like Aladdin, Hercules, or Simba. Moana, in contrast, became a symbol of quiet strength, resilience, and self-discovery. She was not an accidental hero or one who stumbled into greatness by chance. Rather, Moana's greatness lay in her ability to confront her inner fears, to follow her heart despite overwhelming opposition, and to embrace the weight of responsibility without losing her sense of self. In a world where many young viewers were accustomed to seeing heroes fight with swords or fists, Moana's journey was a refreshing reminder that true bravery often lies in following one's convictions and leading with empathy. This shift in the depiction of heroism became a defining feature of the movie's legacy, with audiences appreciating that Moana's greatest challenge was not overcoming an external villain but overcoming her own doubts and fears. The music of Moana played a huge role in its lasting impact. The soundtrack, with its vibrant mix of contemporary and traditional sounds, quickly became iconic. Lin-Manuel Miranda's contributions to the score, including the unforgettable How Far I'll Go and You're Welcome, added a layer of modern energy to the film, making it relatable to a wide audience while still honoring the culture it was portraying. The songs became anthems for empowerment, self-discovery, and the call to adventure. How Far I'll Go became a rallying cry for anyone who has ever felt confined by expectations and longed for something greater, and You're Welcome became a cheeky, charismatic expression of Maui's self-absorption, instantly beloved by audiences for its catchy beat and witty lyrics. Even the more subtle songs, like We Know the Way and Shiny, embodied key thematic elements of the film, from reclaiming heritage to the dangers of vanity. The music connected on a deeper level than just entertainment. It became a soundtrack to personal growth and the desire to break free of constraints. But beyond its achievements within the film industry, Moana also resonated with the cultural moment in which it arrived. Released in the latter half of 2016, the film came at a time when global conversations about diversity, representation, and cultural identity were beginning to gain real traction. In a world increasingly aware of the need for inclusive narratives and accurate portrayals of underrepresented groups, Moana offered an answer to the call. It was a direct response to the demand for more nuanced stories about cultures that had long been marginalized or misrepresented. The film was not just an artistic achievement, it was a cultural event, sparking discussions about the importance of seeing oneself reflected in media and the power of storytelling to shape perceptions and promote understanding. In a time when many people felt the weight of division and uncertainty, Moana became a beacon of hope, offering a narrative of unity, exploration, and mutual respect. The legacy of Moana is also visible in its influence on future films, particularly in the realm of animation. Disney, which had already started expanding the diversity of its princesses with characters like Tiana from The Princess and the Frog and Elsa from Frozen, found in Moana a new kind of protagonist. She was a leader, a thinker, a navigator of both the physical world and her inner journey. Her character paved the way for future Disney heroines, who would be just as complex and capable as Moana, breaking free from traditional tropes of passivity and dependence. The impact of Moana's character could be seen in later films like Raya and the Last Dragon and Encanto, both of which featured strong female leads on quests of personal growth and discovery. Moana helped shift the conversation about animated heroines, moving away from the damsel in distress narrative and towards stories about independence, leadership, and self-realization. The film also had a significant impact on the way we view animation as a medium for cultural storytelling. In an industry historically dominated by Western narratives, Moana proved that animation could be a powerful tool for representing diverse stories and cultures with authenticity and depth. The film showed that animation wasn't just for children's entertainment or fairy tales. It could be a vibrant space for rich, cultural expression. The visual representation of Moana's world was not just beautiful but deeply meaningful. Every detail, from the textures of the islands to the depiction of the ocean as a character, was designed with care and respect for the culture it represented. The animation team's attention to detail became a hallmark of the film, setting a new standard for how animated films could blend artistry with cultural integrity. The success of Moana has since inspired a broader movement within animation, encouraging filmmakers to continue exploring stories from different parts of the world and to prioritize authentic representation. As the years passed, Moana continued to hold a place in the cultural zeitgeist, becoming a touchstone for discussions about diversity, representation, and the power of female protagonists. The film's impact was particularly felt in the realm of education, where it was used to teach about the rich history and culture of the Pacific Islands, as well as the themes of leadership, environmental stewardship, and cultural preservation. Schools, communities, and cultural institutions embraced the film, recognizing it as a valuable tool for fostering understanding and dialogue about global cultures. Its success also opened doors for more films centered around non-Western cultures, with studios beginning to recognize the vast, untapped potential for telling diverse stories that resonate universally. The film's influence also extended into the world of merchandise, where Moana became a beloved character not just in homes but in theme parks and beyond. Disney's decision to create a Moana-inspired attraction at Aulani, their resort in Hawaii, was a testament to the lasting impact of the film. The character of Moana herself became a role model for young fans, especially young girls, who saw in her a reflection of their own dreams, struggles, and aspirations. For many children, Moana was the first Disney heroine who didn't have to rely on a prince or magical circumstances to save her people or herself. She was the hero of her own story, and that made her empowering on an entirely different level. Perhaps one of the most enduring aspects of Moana's legacy is how it continues to be a source of inspiration, particularly for those who feel underrepresented in mainstream media. Pacific Islanders, in particular, have expressed how significant it was to see their culture represented with such care and respect. For many, Moana was not just a movie, it was a validation of their stories and their place in the world. As much as the film was a commercial success, its emotional impact cannot be understated. It allowed people from all walks of life to connect with the themes of exploration, heritage, and self-discovery. It reminded viewers that the ocean, both literal and metaphorical, is vast and full of possibilities, and that the journey of understanding oneself and one's culture is a lifelong adventure. Looking back, it's clear that Moana is more than just a Disney classic. It is a cultural milestone. Its place in the pantheon of animated films is secure, and its themes continue to resonate in an ever-changing world. Whether it's through the music that still echoes in our minds or the lessons that continue to inspire us, Moana is a film that will endure, reminding us to never stop exploring, to honor our heritage, and to embrace the challenges of self-discovery with open arms. In Moana, 2016, there are no cars depicted in the story, as the film is set in a fictional Polynesian world that is rooted in ancient times, where technology like automobiles does not exist. The characters primarily travel by boats, and the ocean itself is a central part of the narrative. Moana's journey, for instance, is largely about navigating the sea and learning the skills necessary to sail, a nod to the maritime traditions of Pacific Islanders. The story revolves around Moana's personal and cultural exploration, and it's grounded in the themes of nature, the environment, and mythology, with the focus being on voyaging, not modern transportation. Therefore, the use of cars is not relevant to the world of Moana, and there is no depiction of automobiles in the film. The production cost of Moana, 2016, was approximately $175 million. This budget is in line with other large-scale animated films produced by Disney during that time, especially considering the film's high-quality animation, elaborate musical elements, and the extensive research required to authentically portray the Polynesian culture. A significant portion of the budget went into the film's visual effects and animation. The movie featured intricate water simulations, as the ocean itself is a key character in the story, requiring groundbreaking techniques to bring it to life. The filmmakers also traveled to various Pacific islands to gather research and consult with cultural experts, which added to the overall costs. Additionally, the film's music, featuring Lin-Manuel Miranda, Opataya Fo'ai, and Mark Mancina, contributed both to the production budget and the lasting impact of the movie. Despite the large initial cost, Moana proved to be a major box office success, grossing over $640 million worldwide. It became one of Disney's most profitable and critically acclaimed animated films of the 2010s, further cementing its place as a beloved modern classic. In Moana, 2016, there are no cars depicted, so there are no prices for cars to discuss. The film is set in a pre-modern, fictional Polynesian world where technology such as automobiles does not exist. The transportation in Moana is primarily by boat, with Moana herself learning to navigate the seas as part of her journey. The narrative and setting focus on traditional, ancient methods of travel and exploration, including sailing, rather than modern-day vehicles. Therefore, no cars appear in the movie, and there isn't any pricing information related to automobiles in the context of this story. It seems there might be some confusion, as Moana, 2016, doesn't feature any cars at all. The movie is set in ancient Polynesian times and revolves around the journey of Moana, a young girl destined to become the leader of her island, and her quest to restore balance to her world. The story is deeply rooted in the sea, mythology, and tradition, focusing on voyaging across the ocean in canoes and boats rather than modern technology like cars. Since there are no cars in the movie, there are no expensive or very expensive cars to discuss. The film's focus is on adventure, culture, and self-discovery, with the primary mode of transportation being traditional sailing boats. The characters travel by sea, and the ocean itself plays a significant role in the story, serving almost as a character in its own right. If you were asking about something else or referring to another movie that features cars, feel free to clarify. I'd be happy to help with more details on that. In Moana, 2016, the most expensive and resource-intensive aspects of the production were related to the animation, visual effects, and research efforts that ensured the film was both visually stunning and culturally authentic. While there are no literal material things in the film that could be described as expensive in a traditional sense, like objects in the story, the costliest parts of the production were certainly tied to the film's technical achievements and attention to detail. Here are a few key elements that contributed significantly to the production budget, animation, and visual effects. The costliest component of the film was undoubtedly its animation. The movie was groundbreaking in terms of visual fidelity, with incredible attention paid to details like the ocean and Moana's hair. One of the most expensive and challenging elements to animate was the ocean, which was essentially a character in itself. The filmmakers used cutting-edge water simulation technology to bring the ocean to life in ways that hadn't been done before. The ocean was animated to behave in realistic ways, responding to the characters' emotions and actions in a dynamic way. The complexity of this simulation required immense computational resources, making it one of the most expensive elements of the production. 2. Cultural research and consultation. To ensure that the film respectfully and accurately depicted Polynesian culture, Disney invested heavily in research trips, consultations with cultural experts, and the involvement of native consultants throughout the filmmaking process. This was an important and costly effort, but one that was necessary to give the film its authenticity. The team traveled to various Pacific islands, including Fiji, Tahiti, and Samoa, to learn about the region's history, traditions, and myths. Additionally, cultural advisors helped with everything from the designs of the costumes and boats to the portrayal of specific customs and beliefs. This deep cultural research and collaboration contributed to the movie's high cost but was essential for the film's integrity and success. Music and score. The music of Moana also played a significant role in the film's production cost, especially with the involvement of high-profile composers like Lin-Manuel Miranda, Opataya Foai, and Mark Mancina. While it might not be the same kind of expensive as some of the more technical aspects of animation, the work involved in creating the film's songs was a major investment. The songs, like How Far I'll Go, You're Welcome, and We Know the Way, became iconic, and the creative process behind them, including Miranda's involvement, required significant time and expertise. The integration of both traditional Polynesian music and modern songwriting styles contributed to the film's high overall cost. Voice talent and cast. While not as large of a financial burden as the technical aspects, the voice talent involved in Moana was a key factor in making the film a success. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who voiced Maui, was a major star at the time and commanded a higher salary. The voice talent of Auliʻi Cravalho, who voiced Moana, was also central to the film's emotional impact, even though she was a relatively unknown actress at the time. These performances required careful direction, and the involvement of such talented actors added to the film's budget. The animation of Moana's flowing hair was a notable technical challenge that added to the film's costs. The animators needed to create highly realistic and detailed animations for both Moana's hair and the water, requiring the development of new animation tools and technologies. The team used advanced software to simulate the texture and movement of her hair, making sure it moved naturally with the wind, waves, and motion. These sophisticated animation techniques were costly but helped elevate the film's visual realism. Building the island world of Moana was another costly yet essential aspect. The design of the islands, the boats, and even the mythical creatures required vast amounts of conceptual artwork and intricate modeling. The team at Disney Animation Studios created lush, vibrant landscapes filled with detail. This involved numerous digital artists and designers who spent hours developing the visuals for each environment, from the lush tropical islands to the open sea. The art direction was meticulously planned to match the story's cultural context and visual storytelling. In conclusion, while there isn't a literal expensive thing in the plot of Moana, the most significant costs of the film came from the highly sophisticated animation, the cultural research, the creation of a powerful and memorable soundtrack, and the groundbreaking visual effects, especially the portrayal of the ocean as a character. All these elements contributed to the film's impressive $175 million budget, helping to create one of Disney's most visually stunning and culturally resonant animated films. Moana, 2016, wasn't shot in the traditional sense, like a live-action film, because it is an animated movie. However, the filmmakers drew significant inspiration from real-world locations, traveling to various places in the Pacific Islands to research and capture the essence of the environments and cultures that would inform the film's visual design, world-building, and cultural authenticity. The primary locations that inspired the world of Moana include 1. The Pacific Islands, Fiji, Tahiti, Samoa, and others. The team behind Moana made extensive research trips to the Pacific Islands, particularly to Fiji, Tahiti, Samoa, and New Zealand, to better understand the landscapes, traditional customs, navigation techniques, and mythology that would shape the world of the film. These real-world locations served as crucial reference points for the film's environment and culture. Filmmakers visited Fiji to explore the culture and landscapes, especially the island's lush vegetation, clear waters, and traditional villages. The design of Moana's island, Motunui, is inspired by the natural beauty of these islands, Tahiti. The team also visited Tahiti, home to traditional Polynesian navigators. The island provided inspiration for the film's portrayal of the ocean and its relationship with the islanders, as well as the traditional sailing vessels used in navigation. Samoa played a pivotal role, as it is home to the rich cultural history and heritage of Polynesian seafaring. The filmmakers consulted with Samoan navigators and other cultural experts to better understand the role of the ocean in the lives of Pacific Islanders, New Zealand. Although not part of Polynesia, New Zealand's indigenous Maori culture provided additional insights into Pacific storytelling, mythology, and craftsmanship. Animation studios and digital creation. While the visual design of the islands and the ocean was inspired by these real-world locations, the actual animation and creation of the film took place at Walt Disney Animation Studios in Burbank, California. The entire process, from character design to modeling, animation, and rendering, was done digitally at Disney's headquarters. The animators, art directors, and visual effects artists used the knowledge gained from these trips to bring the environments to life, creating a vibrant, stylized world that felt both authentic and magical. They worked to capture the spirit and look of the islands through careful research and consultation with cultural experts, special reference material. In addition to the physical trips to these islands, the filmmakers also drew on documentaries and historical texts about Polynesian culture and history, including traditional art, sailing techniques, and the spiritual connection between the people and the ocean. They also consulted with navigators, anthropologists, and Polynesian elders to ensure the film portrayed the culture and mythology accurately. Motunui, Moana's island. While Motunui, the fictional island where Moana lives, was largely a creation of Disney's art department. Its design is based on real-world Polynesian islands. The filmmakers combined elements from different islands to create a composite, ensuring the final design reflected both the diversity and beauty of the Pacific. The island of Motunui is depicted as lush, vibrant, and full of life, consistent with the traditional, natural beauty of Polynesian environments. Moana, 2016, performed incredibly well at the American box office, becoming one of the top-grossing films of that year. In the United States, domestic box office, the film grossed approximately $248.7 million. This was a strong showing for an animated film, especially one with a primarily non-Western cultural focus, and it was one of Disney's standout successes during the holiday season of 2016. The film opened on November 23, 2016, and performed well throughout its theatrical run, boosted by positive word-of-mouth, strong critical acclaim, and the popularity of its soundtrack, which included the hit song How Far I'll Go by Auliʻi Cravalho. It also had strong performances over the Thanksgiving holiday and into the Christmas period. Breakdown of the American box office, opening weekend, November 23 to 27, 2016, $55.5 million total domestic gross, $248.7 million. This was a solid box office performance, considering it was released in a crowded holiday season alongside other major films like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and Rogue One, a Star Wars story. The success of Moana at the American box office contributed to its total global box office of over $640 million worldwide. Overall, the film performed exceptionally well in the US, reflecting its broad appeal, from young children to adults, and its cultural impact, further cementing Moana as a significant entry in Disney's recent animated film lineup. Moana is a film that effortlessly blends stunning animation, unforgettable music, and a rich, culturally resonant story. At its heart, it's a tale of self-discovery, courage, and the pursuit of one's destiny. Released in 2016, this Disney gem quickly captured the hearts of audiences worldwide with its bold visuals, compelling characters, and message of empowerment. But beyond the surface, it offers a much deeper, more layered experience. Through Moana's journey across the ocean, we are reminded of the importance of understanding one's heritage, embracing challenges, and finding strength in the face of uncertainty. The film begins by drawing us into the lush, vibrant world of Motunui, a fictional Polynesian island brimming with life. From the very first moments, we are introduced to Moana, a fearless, spirited girl who feels the pull of the ocean despite her father's insistence that she should stay on the island. Her internal struggle, torn between her duty as the daughter of the chief and her yearning for something more, mirrors the universal desire to chart one's own course in life. Her relationship with the ocean is symbolic of our connection to the unknown, the untapped potential that lies beyond our immediate understanding. As Moana faces a series of obstacles, both external and internal, she embarks on a journey that is as much about discovering who she is as it is about saving her people. One of the film's most captivating elements is its portrayal of Maui, the shape-shifting demigod whose arrogance and misplaced confidence stand in sharp contrast to Moana's humble determination. Voiced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Maui is both a comic relief and a tragic hero in his own right. His backstory adds depth to the film, providing a complex layer to what could have been just a villain figure. His character arc, from a boastful trickster to someone who learns the value of humility, serves as a pivotal moment in the film, marking a powerful theme, that even the most self-assured individuals have room for growth. The soundtrack of Moana, composed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Opataya Foai, and Mark Mancina, is nothing short of iconic. From the heart-wrenching How Far I'll Go to the playful You're Welcome and the empowering We Know the Way, the music not only drives the story forward but elevates it. Each song feels deeply ingrained in the narrative, enhancing our emotional connection to Moana's journey. The music perfectly complements the movie's thematic depth, creating an experience that feels both personal and universal. The tunes are as much a part of Moana's identity as the ocean itself, underscoring the importance of finding one's voice and claiming one's place in the world. As Moana ventures across the ocean, the film's animation dazzles at every turn. The ocean is not just a setting in this film. It is a character in its own right. It moves with a personality, guiding Moana, protecting her, and even challenging her. The animator's attention to detail in the water's behavior, its shifting moods, and its reaction to Moana's emotions is nothing short of groundbreaking. This careful craftsmanship makes the ocean a living, breathing entity that mirrors Moana's internal growth. The visual effects are not merely aesthetic but also serve a deeper purpose in telling the story of her connection to nature, her heritage, and her destiny. The film also makes a significant cultural impact by authentically representing the Polynesian culture. The filmmakers took great care to consult with cultural experts and involve native voices throughout the process. This commitment to cultural accuracy shines through in every frame, from the designs of the islands to the spiritual and mythological elements that influence the plot. Moana never feels like a shallow appropriation of Polynesian culture. Instead, it embraces and celebrates it in a way that feels respectful and true to its roots. One of the most moving aspects of the film is the relationship between Moana and her grandmother, Tala. Tala serves as Moana's spiritual guide, encouraging her to trust the ocean and follow her instincts. Their connection is rooted in wisdom passed down through generations, and Tala's death near the end of the film represents a moment of profound emotional growth for Moana. It is in Tala's absence that Moana finds the strength to sail solo across the ocean, proving that while the physical presence of loved ones may fade, their lessons and love continue to guide us. The loss of Tala, juxtaposed with the success of Moana's mission, creates a bittersweet but powerful resolution to the story. Maui's eventual redemption, his reconciliation with Moana, is another key turning point in the film. While their partnership starts with conflict, it grows into mutual respect as both characters learn from one another. This relationship speaks to the broader theme of the film, that people are more than their flaws, and change is possible if we are open to it. Maui's willingness to give up his magical fishhook to aid Moana is a symbolic act of humility, one that solidifies the bond between them and marks his growth. This transformation underscores the idea that redemption is not about erasing past mistakes, but about taking responsibility for them and choosing a better path. By the end of the film, Moana has not only saved her people but has found her true purpose. Her journey is a metaphor for the process of coming of age, realizing that you are capable of much more than you initially believed. Moana's evolution from a young girl who is afraid of the ocean to a confident voyager who embraces her destiny is inspiring, offering an empowering message for audiences of all ages. And then there's the ending. It's not just a resolution, it's a triumph. When Moana returns to Motunui and takes her rightful place as the leader, she is no longer constrained by the expectations of others. She is free to carve her own path, one that honors both her heritage and her future. The ocean, which once seemed like an intimidating, mysterious force, now feels like a friend, something Moana has learned to navigate, just as she has learned to navigate life itself. Moana is a film that resonates long after the credits roll. Its messages about identity, courage, and self-determination are universal, and its beautiful animation, vibrant characters, and unforgettable music make it a modern Disney classic. Whether you are drawn in by the heart of Moana's journey, the humor and heart of Maui's character, or the stunning visuals of the Pacific, this film has something for everyone. If there's one thing that makes Moana unforgettable, it's its ability to inspire. It invites us to look within ourselves, to trust our own abilities, and to understand that our destiny is something we must create, not something that is handed to us. The film's themes of bravery, self-discovery, and connection to the world around us are timeless, making it a story that will continue to touch hearts for generations to come. And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Moana. We hope you enjoyed exploring the magic of this incredible film with us. If you loved Moana as much as we did, don't forget to hit that like button. It's a small click that helps us bring more content your way. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to catch our future deep dives into the films and stories you love. Leave us a comment below to share your thoughts on Moana and what part of the film touched you the most. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video.